Rush is back, baby. Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and their new drummer Anika Nilles are ready to rock the world in 2026. The gods of prog rock have spoken, and the message is clear. The Clockwork Angels aren't done ticking. After nearly a decade of silence, air drumming, and endless will they won't they debates among fans, Rush, yes, the Rush, is officially reuniting for a 2026 world tour. It's the comeback nobody dared to hope for, and yet somehow the one that feels utterly inevitable. Because when you've written songs about time travel, philosophy, and robots falling in love, you don't just fade into the background. You resurface with thunder, bass pedals, and a snare roll that could shatter glass. Let's rewind for a second. The year was 2015. Rush's R40 tour wrapped up at the Kia Forum near Los Angeles, closing the book on one of rock's most virtuosic pregnancies. It was emotional, it was triumphant, and for fans, it was heartbreaking. When Neil Peart, the band's legendary drummer and lyricist, passed away in 2020, most of us assumed that was it. The final chapter had been written, and Rush's story ended with a quiet, graceful fade-out. Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson each went their separate ways. Geddy wrote his memoir. Alex experimented with new projects, and both made peace with the idea that Rush had lived its course. But Rush fans are a stubborn bunch. The forums never went quiet, Reddit threads kept theorizing, and every time Geddy or Alex posted something online that even hinted at music, heart skips beats worldwide. And now the whispers are over. The band is returning, and it's not just nostalgia. It's a full-fledged, hands on the fretboard, pedals on the floor Rush reunion tour. The 50-something tour kicks off on June 7th, 2026 at, wait for it, the very same Kia Forum where they said goodbye 9 years ago. That's some cinematic poetry right there. The tour will sweep across major cities like Mexico City, Fort Worth, Chicago, New York, Toronto, and finally wrap up in Cleveland on September 17th. They've hinted the schedule's got enough breathing room for more dates if and when demand goes through the roof. Let's be honest, demand's already there. If you think Swifties crash Ticketmaster, wait till prog dods and diehard Rush fans start refreshing at 10 a.m. But let's talk about the elephant, or rather, the drum kit in the room. How do you even begin to fill the shoes of Neil Peart, one of the most technically gifted drummers who ever lived? The man didn't just play drums, he authored symphonies with them. Every fill, every paradiddle, every perfectly timed crash was part of an intricate cosmic design. For years, Geddy and Alex avoided the question altogether. How do you continue without the professor? How do you stand on stage and play Tom Sawyer without that spirit driving the beat? Enter Anika Nilles, a German drumming powerhouse with chops so sharp they could cut glass. You may know her from her jaw-dropping YouTube performances, her work with Jeff Beck, or just as that drummer who makes physics look easy. Geddy Lee discovered her through his bass tech, and after watching her videos, he reportedly said, "We've got to meet her." She flew to Toronto, set up behind the kit, and within minutes, both Geddy and Alex knew. She gets it. She wasn't trying to replace Neil because no one can, but she understood the feel, the complexity, and the precision that makes Rush's music what it is. The trio jammed through 35 Rush songs in a Toronto studio. 35! That's not an audition, that's a marathon. Geddy said she handled everything from YYZ to La Villa Strangiato with surgical precision and a grin that made the room come alive again. Alex, ever the stoic one, apparently broke into a full laugh mid-session, the kind of laugh that said, "Oh yeah, this is real again." Anika won't be called a new member of Rush. She's officially the touring drummer, which is a respectful distinction. Geddy and Alex have been very clear that this tour is not about replacing Neil, but honoring him. It's about keeping the music alive, letting it breathe again, and celebrating the incredible legacy that the three of them built together. And it's not just sentiment driving this reunion. Both Geddy and Alex have been through personal transformations that make this moment possible. Alex, who battled health issues in the recent years, underwent surgery in 2023 and emerged determined to get stronger, leaner, and healthier. He said, "I want to be able to play for real again," in a recent interview. Geddy, ever the musical workhorse, has been writing, playing, and itching for something bigger than solo projects. When Geddy and Alex started casually jamming in Geddy's home studio in Toronto, they realized the spark was still there, the chemistry that defined Rush from their high school days. That chemistry is why this tour feels right. This isn't a cynical reunion for cash, it's a genuine, heartfelt return to the thing that made them who they are. Lifeson joked in an interview that the name 50-something came from how often they have to stretch before rehearsals now. "We're not pretending we're 25, he laughed. "We're just pretending we can still play like we are." And yes, they still can. If early rehearsals are any indication, Rush is about to prove that time signatures and age are equally meaningless when the music's good enough. Fans are already speculating about the setlist. Will they lean into classics like 2112, The Spirit of Radio, Closer to the Heart, and Subdivisions? Or will they mix in deep cuts from Clockwork Angels and Snakes and Arrows? Geddy's hinted they're curating a celebration of all eras, meaning everyone's getting their favorite Rush. Maybe even a surprise or two from unreleased jams. Rolling Stone's deep dive on Anika Nilles paints her as the perfect bridge between old and new. A drummer who grew up studying Peart's complex phrasing, but brings her own flair. A modern rhythmic sensibility that could evolve Rush's sound just enough to feel fresh again. Her style isn't imitation, it's evolution. She plays like she's conversing with the ghosts of Peart's drum fills, not copying them. And fans, they're already in love. Twitter, or X, or whatever Elon's calling it now, exploded after the news broke. One fan tweeted, "Rush is back. I can finally die happy." Another wrote, "If I don't get tickets, I'll start living in a tree outside the Kia Forum until I do." You just know the merch slide is going to have people camping overnight, middle-aged rockers in faded torchies, kids discovering prog for the first time, and everyone air drumming together in harmony. Beyond the fan frenzy, there's something beautifully human about this comeback. Rush's story has always been one of evolution. 3 guys from Canada who turned nerdy musicianship into art, who never compromised their sound even when it wasn't cool. They went from playing high school gyms to filling stadiums, and they did it all with integrity, humor, and staggering musical ability. When they lost Neil, it wasn't just a band member, it was a limb. And yet, 5 years later, they found a way to stand again. This tour isn't about erasing grief, it's about channeling it, about turning loss into rhythm. Geddy put it perfectly in Variety's interview. Neil would have wanted us to keep playing. He'd probably roll his eyes at the fuss, but I think he'd be proud. And fans agree, because for all of the Rush's dazzling musicianship, the 7-minute instrumentals, the dizzying time signatures, the philosophical lyrics, the heart of the band has always been connection. Between 3 lifelong friends, between musicians and their fans, between generations of listeners who found comfort in songs about free will, time machines, and the beauty of being an outsider. In a way, this reunion feels like Rush completing one final concept album, one that doesn't need a record, just a stage. It's about memory, renewal, and that spark that refuses to die even after the amps go silent. And you bet that first show in Los Angeles will be something special. When Geddy hits that first note, when Alex lets his guitar soar, and when Anika locks into that groove, the ghost of Neil Peart will be there in every simple crush and echo of the crowd. This comeback isn't about chasing the past. It's about proving that the spirit of Rush was never stuck in time. It's timeless. So, to the fans who grew up counting time signatures in 7/8, to the kids discovering Tom Sawyer for the first time on TikTok, and to every musician who ever dreamed of playing a 12-minute song about space explorers, get ready. Rush is back. They've got a new heartbeat behind the kid, and they're about to remind the world what prog rock really sounds like. And if history is any education, they'll do it with the same mix of brains, heart, and sheer volume that's made them legends. The lights will dim, the crowd will roar, somewhere a pair of drumsticks will tap twice in the dark, and Rush will rise again. Subscribe to Inside Hollywood for more stories that make your heart beat faster than a Neil Peart drum solo.